What's happening? Okay, we've moved the camera angle. Let's give this a shot and see how cool we can make this look. We're building up these rows right now, guys, for tomatoes. 25 feet rows, and we'll go ahead and time it and see how long it takes. Once you have the soil tilled, it shouldn't take but a couple minutes to build up a 25-foot row. Let's give it a shot. All right, guys, we're gonna do a little patchwork here. Last week, we didn't press the record button. And we got the time lapse, but really there's no information there unless I explain what I was doing, which was what I was doing every time I walked up here. I was talking to the camera and I was gonna stitch it together and wasn't able to do that because, of course, if you don't press the record button, you don't capture any footage. So today, we're just gonna try to fill in the gaps, okay? So we planted the poles, and one way to firm in the poles, these are 25-foot lengths, is you can take a shovel and just tamp around the base like that, and that'll pack the soil pretty good. And that's the way to do that. It's a Lesco product here, and it's 100% coated professional landscape ornamental all-purpose fertilizer. It's a 14-14-14, 100% coated, so it's a slow release. It'll last, you know, months and months. It's a little bit of a pricey product, but it's well worth it. It will not burn your plants. So I put that on, shake that on, and I run it in with this device. I bought it at Home Depot. It's a Ho-Dog is the variety. I'm missing a tine because it was squeaky and wouldn't roll very good. But this is what I use to run that fertilizer down into the ground. And you want it kind of close to the soil surface so that when it rains, it leaches to the roots. If you put it in too deep, the roots have to get to it before it does any good. So it's good to have it more surface. Well, I wanted to explain to you all about this coated wire that we put across the top. And one thing that I learned that was really, took me years to learn this, guys, I'm telling you. These plants will generate so much weight that it pulls these posts in like that. And you end up with a lot of sagging in this line right here. And the weight, it becomes just a real problem. So finally it dawned on me what I was doing wrong. In the past, I would put a pole in the ground, which is, I left these out of the ground right here, so I could stick me a post right here, and I'd put one of those U nails in here, the fencing nails, And basically, it would slide. It would slide back and forth. I didn't torque it down because, you know, I save these every year. You know, it's one of these nails here that I put in, and it really didn't work good because it slid and it didn't help distribute the weight. So this year it dawned on me, why don't we put one of these clamps in here? So this is what I'm talking about. So if we put a U-clamp instead of like this, which I tried, it didn't work too good because it just didn't line up. I put it like this, and this is the welded wire, and now I'll be able to torque that down. In the video, I was placing the plants out, and the fast way to get your spacing appropriate is to take a little stick like this, measure the distance you want to use. This is about 20 inches or so. And so what I do is I just take one of these are what I support the tomatoes with, and of course over the years you'll have them break and they last forever. You can use them years and years. But so I'll take one that's too short for any good, and I'll snap a piece off. And what I do is when I'm setting the pots out, I'll set them all out after I've run the fertilizer in, set the plants out, and use this as my measuring device. So I got my appropriate spacing. It's very easy. This wasn't actually the one I used. It was a little shorter, maybe about that distance. But I just go down the row and I space them out. So my spacing is pretty accurate, quick and easy. So that's that. You know, might as well we haven't done it yet, but I did want to show you how I store these things over the years. I mean, I've had them for years. They last forever. And it's important that you get the coated wire. There's a coating on this so it doesn't rust. And the reason why you want the coated wire is because you want to be able to take a zip tie, and as this comes up to the top, you zip tie that down. And what I use is just a small zip tie like this, because when you tie this on here, it'll bite into this rubber, this coated material. It'll kind of bite into it, and it will prevent it from sliding. For years, I didn't think about it, and I was using twisty ties. I twisty tie this on there with a little twisty tie, and the weight of these things, it would just slide. And last year I had tremendous results using the zip ties. One of my friends said, well, why don't you try some zip ties? And I'll be damned if it didn't work well. But you know, you just save these. And last but not least, when it comes to these things, you know, you want to make sure you just test these. I mean, that is loose by the hand. So every year you want to come back in, take a socket wrench or any kind of wrench, and just make sure you torque these down good, because once you get all that weight on there, these things right here, I mean, this was very loose. It was amazing. It even held anything up. I don't understand what's going on with that, but anyway. So, you know, make sure those are nice and tight, because last year I did a video, I didn't ever post it up, on what happens when you don't have these tight. I had all these tomato plants loaded with tomatoes all on the ground, and fortunately the stems did not break. So that's these bamboo stakes you get at Home Depot, and they are kind of flimsy, okay? And if you got a tomato plant with a ton of weight, they'll tend to bow. This one's even got a little bow in it, probably from the weight that was on there. So this year, what I'm gonna do is I save these twisty ties because you use them to support certain things, but I'm gonna take these, and on each tomato plant, I'll probably end up going like something like this, doubling them up, just go down and take a few of these, tie them together like that, double them up, stick this in the ground, and this is what we're gonna support the tomatoes on. It's been a challenge for me to figure out how to keep these things erect with the weight and everything, and I think this year we finally got the ticket. I think this is gonna be the ticket right here. This distribution of weight with this guy right here in the middle. I haven't placed them yet in the middle, but I'm gonna do that. But I just wanted to finish this video so that you guys can see what challenges I've hopefully learned to overcome, and be able to you know, not have to go through the same trial and tribulation I had. Okay, guys, that was a job. I am a little sweaty, but not terrible. It wasn't bad. It was not bad. So those are the tomatoes. They're in the ground. We're gonna see how the time lapse turned out. Hopefully it turned out cool. And appreciate you guys watching. And if you want to tune in, you'll see how these things grow throughout the season. You know, we start like 3 different rounds of tomatoes. So we'll have a yield of tomatoes for 6 months straight. And this is just the first start. As a matter of fact, this part of the garden will be planted out twice during one season. So we'll fill this section of the garden over and go on the north side of the pole barn and start on that side. By the time that side's starting to produce, this is panned out. We come back over here, rip it out, start over again. So we just rotate back and forth. We get a yield, tremendous yield all year long, all season long. Good 6 months anyway. Thanks guys. If you liked it, please subscribe, like, give me a thumbs up, and tune back in for more gardening videos. And I really appreciate your time. Take care.